Hello again. It's been a while since I've had the time or energy to record a video for this channel. Um, but something's really been piquing my mind, and I feel that today is just as good as any day to get it off my chest and talk about it. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not like I've been avoiding it. But it's certainly something that I've come to find some relevance in my life, and I did something tonight that it really secured the point. I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing just fine. Arguably better than I've been doing since I can even remember when. I got an employee today. Anybody that's been in constant communication with me knows that one of my full-time jobs that I work two. One's more part-time, one's full-time, but I end up working 60 plus hours a week easily, 7 days a week, like pretty much no holidays. And my boss, one of them, my primary boss, wanted to hire on a virtual assistant for me. And so, outsourcing it from the Philippines, 40 hours a week, $650 USD a month. And what that translates out to is roughly a $40,000 salary for whoever picks up the position in the Philippines, at least in their area. Obviously, for us, it's $650 a month. And, I've had to make tough decisions before. My boss left me in charge of the entire interview process, the whole 9 yards, right? We hired on an ad agency that went out and they screened people, and then they shortlisted it down to 3. And I did the interview process tonight. And at the end of the interview process, I had to make the decision who was going to get that job, who was going to get the $40,000 job working with me, and who was going to go home, right? And 2 people, obviously there was more that applied who just didn't even make it that far, but 2 people, one of which had 3 kids, the other one's 28, trying to make a living, moving into a place away from their family, trying to make this job work, and I had to turn those people away. And the end result was, I picked the candidate that I thought was strongest. I picked the candidate that I thought was best. I made the most ethical decisions I thought I could based on business, right? Based on numbers. And that's how I do all my business. It's what allows me to be such a strong, business-minded individual, is making those calculated numbers decisions. And I don't feel remorse for this. But I highlight something that I think has been a recurring thought to me, which is about the return, the natural order of the world. As many of you know, I write a lot of poetry. Maybe not so much poetry anymore because I'm so busy, but I do love poetry, and I try to take some time out and channel my thoughts and emotions and feelings and experiences into some sort of tangible written form. And I wrote a poem. It's one of my favorite poems I think I've ever written. It's also one of my shortest poems, and it's called The Natural Order. Right? And I've talked about this poem to a couple of people about what the natural order meant. It's a short poem. It says, we no longer serve the braised beef. I slouched sadly in my chair, and the cows of the world rejoiced. Right? Very simple poem. Most people look at it and go, it's rather nonsense, not particularly written very well. But it's a very meaningful poem to me, right? And I'll talk about the experience very briefly that led to that poem being written, right? It was about a trip to Olive Garden. And my favorite menu item there is the braised beef and tortellini. And the item wasn't doing well. They pulled it off the menu, right? And they said, we're going to bring it back. And eventually they did. But the point is I found out right then and there, sitting in the chair ordering the braised beef, and it wasn't going to come. And I thought, in a sort of kind of poetic way, that my suffering was another's gain, right? Here I am not getting the braised beef, and somewhere on the other side of the world, as silly a concept as it was, here are these cows celebrating that they live another day. My suffering is their gain. That's in a really vivid painted picture of it, a caricature really, but the reality is very poignant. It's very true that your gain is other people's losses, and vice versa. And in the same way that my virtual assistant got his job today, two other people and many other candidates did not. They put their time and energy in, and they didn't make the cut. When I got my new job, which I'm very happy with and I work very hard at, I beat out 30 plus candidates. And those people wanted that job, I won't say just as hard, because I don't believe that. I believe that part of why I got the job was because I wanted it harder than other people, but at least an admirable amount, and maybe one or two of the candidates did want the job as bad as I did, and I beat them out for other metrics. But the point is, my success was their loss, right? And it's that way with like organ donation as well. You give something of yourself to another so that they can flourish, right? And so you can make many people incredibly happy by relinquishing little parts of yourself throughout. And the poem Natural Order was a play on words about this natural order of give and take, and also my natural order at the restaurant, the braised beef. But I don't feel, like I said, I don't feel remorse for picking who I picked, but it really starts setting the stage and putting your thoughts in order about the nature of give and take, what the world really truly is, which is this balance of what I can give you and what you're going to give me back. And sometimes you don't get anything. Sometimes you just have it taken. And people die in gutters starving because everything is taken, but it's taken so that others may flourish, right? And the people that we really hate, that we deem evil, these dictators and things like that, they're just people who took too much, right? That we drew the line. We said it's okay to take. It's okay to take a little bit. It's okay to take when you're the one that's trying to end up on top, trying to win the race, right? It's okay to place first. We draw the line at this idea that after you place first, if you keep running the race, right, you place first and second and third and no one else gets trophies, we start calling that person an asshole. They're the real villain, right? It's okay to do it in the minor scale, in the micro scale, but the macro scale, we deem those people villains. And I just think this situation tonight really helped to drive in this thought that we live in almost like a capitalist world. And it just seems like everything, your possessions, your time, and yourself are all up for sale. And the highest bidder is going to take it. I'm going to go to bed now.